Hi, I'm April.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are here getting ready to go on a meadery tour at Brothers Drake Meadery here in Columbus, Ohio.
I'm so excited. Meads are my favorite. Like, I always think that I'm a beer girl or a wine girl, and having worked at a brewery, I'm excited to get this tour.
I don't know if I've ever had mead before, so this is going to be a total adventure for me.
Oh, it's sweet, but it's subtle. It's so good.
Hopefully it doesn't put hair on my chest.
Oh, it might. Oh no.
All right, well, let's go.
Let's go, come on. So was that informative for you?
It was, and I actually, well, I didn't like all the mead. Let me be honest. I liked the more sweet, wine-like mead, but not the super duper sweet.
Like, no, I didn't. That one I liked.
This apple pie mead was just about the right amount of sweet for me, but the one that was aged in the bourbon barrel that you liked.
I like that just because you could taste the bourbon barrel of it.
Yeah. Whereas this one I thought was just way too sweet.
See, I like that one because you could taste the Granny Smith in it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. My mother-in-law, she gets me onto like the apple spiced anything, so that's what I'm into.
Well, you're the expert on this. So what did you think?
I'm not the expert. I've worked at like fine dining restaurants, and I've worked at like fine wine events or festivals. I used to work at a brewery for about 1.5 years, and so a lot of the same materials that they used and the same methods that they did were very similar to me. It was funny for me to ask, I think her name was Julia, the one girl that was there. I was like, do you guys climb inside the machines and clean them? And she was like, if there's a lot of excess debris, yeah, I have to climb in there. We get the ladder down. And I
can't believe y'all do that, man. But I guess you got to. You don't want to ruin a big, expensive batch.
Like, things over our shoes and like wear a whole almost hazmat suit to get in there and clean the whole thing out. But yeah, I used to work at a brewery in right outside of Shillington, Pennsylvania, which is closer to Reading. But yeah, that's where I learned like the methods of making beer, and obviously this is mead, so it's different.
Right.
But we're familiar with the yeast and the different types of yeast and all the different methods that you have to do and the cleaning process, and how one tiny little scientific thing can just offset your whole
ruin your
batch.
life.
Yeah, and then you're thousands of dollars in the hole. But the fact that they were 5 to 7% of their loss, that's incredible.
Like, and the zero sort of, well, obviously they weren't at zero waste, but that was a big priority for them. And I also like that they tried to support Ohio and Ohio jobs. I thought that was really cool too. Yeah, and they talked about their carbon footprint a lot, which is really cool. They talked about how they use recyclable materials and how they reuse their what are they called? The beer canisters, the kegs. They reuse those. So I was the designated driver, and I kept pouring my samples into her glass. So I'm the guinea pig. There may be some language challenges right now, but that's all right.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. I learned a lot of new stuff, but there was a lot of stuff that I was familiar with. Again, it was another older crowd, but that was to be expected.
Yes.
They talked about how during the pandemic things kind of like flipped on their head, and how they had to like readapt to how they do things, which like I obviously was in the food industry during the pandemic at the very beginning, so I totally understand that. But yeah, everybody was so cool, and the one guy said that he'd worked in the kitchen industry for a long time.
Yes, and mentioned the fine dining restaurant Barcelona. We're going to have to add that to our list and go check that out, because I bet they have paella.
Oh yeah, right? So was that downtown Columbus?
I have no idea where in Columbus we were. I know
it was somewhere in Columbus.
It's somewhere near Short North, because the actual bar where you can go and get drinks, as opposed to the brewery where we were, or technically meadery where we were, was only like 10 minutes away from there, and I know, so that was Short North, which is near campus. Oh my gosh, and we had a game going on today, and it was just packed full of college kids, and I was like, do we want to do that next? And meanwhile, I'm just like, I hope I don't hit any of these beautiful people.
No, that was so much fun. Anything apple I really liked. Even the cranberry one that they gave us.
I loved the cranberry one, but I didn't see it for sale. So
no, it was
otherwise
really
I would have totally bought it.
But yeah, they said that they age their stuff for a minimum of a month, but they usually do 9 months to a year.
9 to 12,
So yeah, that was really cool.
But it was really different, because I'm pretty sure I've never had mead before, so I'm pretty sure that was my first mead experience.
See, I was always a beer drinker, and then I was a wine drinker, and then I started going to like more like artisanal places, and I started trying mead, and I was like, okay, this is like a nice little happy medium between carbonation and sweetness, and like there's a little bit of bitterness. I liked that the first one we tried was just water, yeast, and honey, which is typically what mead is made out of. They locally source their honey from bees in Ohio, which is another cool thing. They said that they get their fruits from Connecticut, I think they said. Or their yeast from Connecticut.
I think they said they try to do as much local Ohio stuff as they can, but I imagine some things like cranberries, like we don't have a cranberry bog here in Ohio that I know of. If we do, it's going to be on the channel at some point. I'm sure we'll go visit it, but
yeah, no, that was fun.
That was fun.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't
enjoy it as much as you, because I had to drive, but I intend to be enjoying it soon off camera.
We'll enjoy it off camera.
Yeah, man. Totally.
But yeah, I'm excited to get the cork popper out and have another glass. But yeah, any other thoughts?
I thought our guide was awesome, and I love that any surplus profits they make, they feed back to their employees.
They were talking about their bonuses.
Big employee retention, and people just stay, and I can totally get it. It was a perfectly chill, like very nurturing and caring vibe. And as a former executive, I appreciate that kind of sort of servant leadership as opposed to just getting rich off the backs of other people. So I like that a lot.
The one thing that I found funny was being like a small town kind of almost city girl was that they said that the owner in high school wanted to buy a Harley and his mom wouldn't let him, so he bought the meadery. And I was like, that hits right home for me. Like, oh, I can't get this Harley. I'm just gonna buy a business and just make mead for the rest of my life.
Just figure it out.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. Yeah, so maybe the next business adventure?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to make mead, but you know what?
Apparently there's a scientific method to it, but I would love to learn how to do it. Maybe they do another type of tour, or maybe they can just sit down and teach us at the bar.
I'm sure we can learn on the internet too. Everything's on the internet these days. So.
Well, and they also had a friend of mine used to make mead at home, and they talk about this big, I think it's a 2-gallon jug, where all you need is the siphoning tube and then the yeast itself, and it just sits there for 6 months, and then you just kind of have like this backwoods kind of mead to make. And he was like, have you ever had make mead? And I was like, what is make mead? And then he went out and got the jar, and I was like, didn't know it was called that, but yes, I've had that before. So that was another cool thing for me. But yeah.
So we were at Brothers Drake Meadery in Columbus, Ohio, and who knows where we're going to be next?
Because we're everywhere
in Ohio. Bye.